Okay, and we are live. Hello to anybody that's watching. Hopefully, well, maybe just staff, maybe not. This is the first manager meeting for Ponyville Cider Fest 2016. My name is Charlie Worthley. I'm the vice chair and PR director. The chair, Corey Wood, will maybe be popping in later. He is at another con right now, also with. Browser with Ashley Wagner, our consort department head, and also Michael Smith, our vendor hall department head. So they may or may not be popping in later. Otherwise, I'll go around the rest of the room with the other officers. Everybody can introduce themselves to you and each other. So please go.
Hi there, I'm Larsis. I'm the AV head. A lot of people come to my department with problems that aren't my department's problems.
That's my department. I guess I go next. I'm Dave. I'm leading up the events department.
I'm Danny. I'm the head of special events. We take care of stuff like the gala and the charity auction. Woo!
Woo!
Hi, I'm Vivid. I'm what's the title? Programming Deputy Director, and just in general, Dave's underling.
Yes.
No, go ahead, server.
All right. Hi, I'm William. We're Serverette. I'm the operations director, along with anything related to operations.
And I'm Matt. I'm the department head of security or Royal Guard. We'll answer to both.
And I'm happy to be working with the most charismatic and outgoing group of managers and department heads that I've ever come across. There's only a little bit of sarcasm in that sentence. So also real quick, so Dave, our programming director, why don't you say a little bit about your con background so everybody knows what else you've worked?
As far as, well, I guess the Brony convention scene, I've been either working, I've technically worked for, this will be my 17th convention. I've been involved with con streaming the first few years. I was in the fandom, but actually working under staff for the last 2 years, and this will be, I believe, my 5th convention that I'll be actually on the official staff, not just working in accordance with. Yeah, I've helped out with mostly the AV and technical side of things, but kind of got a grasp for how things should be ran through seeing other conventions do trial and error mostly, and taking note of this worked really well and this flopped, and that's kind of how I got my feet wet and ended up, I think it was Winnie City actually taking the reins and helping out, well, most of it Charlie, because he kind of took over, but you know, putting the schedule together, and then decided to do that again with MLP MSP, and continue that trend with Ciderfest. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Serverette, how about you? What's your background?
I've been staffing Brony Convention since 2014. I started with BronyCon. Last year was the first time I got into management for conventions. I was operations manager at BronyCon. And Winnie City, I was not head. Then MSP, I was a division director. And I've been staffing a lot of conventions lately.
Cool.
I'm also a theater tech in real life. I work on moving light aspect and sound in live theater.
Awesome, thank you. And then, Dave is, you know, he's in charge of everything that's programming related. So basically, all the event programming, special events, kids programming, video gaming, tabletop, AV, guest relations, hospitality, all that basically comes under Dave. And then under Serverette is basically anything that's operations related, being operations itself, Royal Guard, registration, vendor hall, and the con store. Anything that involves the con running. AV is with events just because they need to work closely together, just to explain why they're on that side of things. But yeah. And then so as far as the department heads go, Vivid, you was MSP the first con you worked?
No, I worked at MSP 2014. I was Royal Guard there for most of the weekend. I've also worked at Galax Cons, a little bit of Convergence. I've been around the con scene for several years now. This will be my third time working at a Brony convention specifically.
Okay. Yeah, he was kind of a lifesaver for us with a couple things with MLP, MSP, and so I'm really happy to have him on the team here at Ciderfest. He was a big asset there, so happy to have you here.
When it came to the con book.
Happy to help.
Yeah. Lars, how many cons have you worked?
Well, technically I've worked every convention I've attended, except for EQLA last year. I jumped in and helped with charity at Las Pegasus Unicon, which was a lot of fun. I represent another convention at the previous EQLA. Then I ended up working with EFN at a bunch of things. MSP was actually the first convention I was officially on staff for, the very first MSP. And then I've been with this convention since its inception. I've been with MSP since it was in its planning phases, actually. I'm actually charity lead for BronyCon, have been for the past 2 years and again next week. Let's see, what else? There's been so many. Dave, do you remember any other ones I've worked for? Oh, Midwest. I've been AV lead for
yeah,
Midwest
I was
for the
going to
past
say
2
Midwest.
years.
That's another one, which, yeah, that's,
Well, technically audio lead for those two.
yeah. More experience with putting out fires than anything else at those.
There's a fun story I can tell people about that later. But but yeah,
Head of the fire department. How about?
I'm going to leak some information here at BronyCon for a department there. I'm the unofficial head of getting stuff done. So
A worthy title.
So yeah, lots of stuff. And in real life, I develop pretty screens for oil sites.
Because that's exactly the same as working Brony conventions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it is pretty greasy. I mean, you get your hands dirty. Yeah, that's true. People screaming at you and complaining a lot when things go wrong.
Yeah,
even
actually,
if it's not your fault. It's so.
Actually, yeah, that's really true. That really is like a Brony convention, isn't it? There's no vendor hall though.
Oh, that's true. Well, unless you count the taco truck at noon.
Hey, like I said, I develop the screens. I sit back at the office with computer.
You hide in the closet and compute. Okay.
Yep.
Danielle, what cons have you worked?
I actually worked con ops for Anime Milwaukee I think in its second or third year when it was still at the college. And then I've been involved with helping plan cosplay contests for a lot of smaller local conventions. And then, like I said, I've worked Ciderfest specifically for the last 3 years in special events. And I think I kind of helped with Winnie City's special events department, but though I didn't get to go.
You advised. You absolutely advised. So yes.
Helped. Big air quotations.
You're listed in staff as an advisor. So.
But yeah, that's my experience.
Cool. All right. And Matt, Salutri.
Yes. This is my 12th year of staffing conventions. I have done everything from security to guest relations to AV at anime conventions, comic book conventions, sci-fi conventions, furry conventions, fetish conventions. Yeah, I have probably staffed more conventions than I have actually just attended. And in my real life, I install cable. I'm everyone's favorite and least favorite person to have show up to their house.
Yeah, Comcast. Woo! Sorry, said no one ever.
And on my side of things, the first con that I worked was MLP MSP 2015 last year. Basically got sucked in to help them out with their PR. Apparently impressed the right people. Was brought in to do PR for Ciderfest last year. Apparently further impressed the right people. And Corey Ballin told me that I was going to be his vice chair. And now this year, this is the Ciderfest will be the 5th PonyCon that I've worked this year, including Windy City, which I'm also the vice chair of, along with Corey. I ran the autograph room at Everfree Northwest. I was a handler for Midwest Burning Fest, and was PR director for MLP MSP3 a couple weeks ago. So yeah, just for anybody that's
each
watching.
Each person here has a staph infection, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
It's a very
Can't
bad
attend a
staph
convention
infection.
without ending up staffing it. I've only I've only attended one convention that I did not staff. That sounds like that's pretty accurate for everyone else here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
I attended a couple ASENs, but that's about it. So for anybody that's watching, the main reason why I wanted to do that, just make sure that any staff that are watching this video has an idea of who you're working for, and just to make sure everybody knows that we are all experienced and have done a few of these. So that all being said, my itinerary for this meeting is basically to first of all impress something. All of the people that have worked, you know, like Winnie City is an example. This last MLP MSP was an example. Ciderfest last year was an example. Not every con is like this, but it seems to be a lot of the cons that that I have worked. So maybe it's me, I don't know, but have had a lot of deadlines really come down to the wire, and just stuff like last minute, and like the con books like being put together and printed like days before the conventions. We have to pay rush shipping and like do all that stuff. And I am on like a religious mission to make sure that does not happen this year with Ciderfest. Like, we have plenty of time, and so as long as we establish responsibilities and deadlines and a schedule and just get everything figured out, and have just everybody on board with making sure that stuff gets done like in time, you know, with allowing for a buffer for stuff to take longer, because yes, of course, this is not our job. None of us are getting paid for this. Sorry, I guess that's news to everybody. Yeah.
I quit that.
I shouldn't have mentioned that.
I thought you were paying me in muffins.
I'm paying you all in paying you all in beer at con. So.
Oh, I'm down for that. Let's go.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Okay, perfect.
So just making sure that everybody's on board with having Ciderfest this year not be have everything come down to the last minute convention, because I don't want to do that. So
Don't jinx us now. Jeez, man.
100%.
I figured what we do first, just to make sure everybody is clear on responsibilities. So first of all, between main events and special events, is anybody, well, just so to clarify, as what qualifies as a main event and what qualifies, I can speak words, as a special event. So main events is, well, I'll ask Dave. What are you planning on handling? What for you encompasses is under the umbrella of main events?
Wait, I have people to delegate that to now? What is this? I guess that would fall under like special events, like I don't know, like some of the like kids programming stuff that usually we just kind of appoint a head of kids programming. I'm not sure if we have done that.
We do. We do have a kids programming department head. It's Erin Frost. She did kids programming. She did kids programming for last year's Ciderfest and also Winnie City. She's great.
Okay, then that's handled. Then that would probably fall under special events, like the VIP events, things like that are going to be sponsor events, like especially like things like the gala, like organizing where and what VIPs we're going to have for the special sponsor events and things like that. But that will be probably coordinated with the GR pretty closely.
Okay. So for me, main events, which all the event stuff, all the programming is under Dave, but he's also the department head of like main events and programming. So for me, main events is opening and closing ceremonies, panels, the main guests of honor, voice actor panels that'll be each day, and then I think the concert, and then that pretty much comes down to everything that's kind of main events. Special events.
That's the main like programming track, pretty much, right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No problem. So that's everything that I consider to be a main event. Special events is the Grand Gala and Gala, the any of the sponsor events. So like the dinner and the cocktail hour, basically just being on hand to make sure everything is going smoothly. All that is pretty much run by the hotel, but special events will just be on hand in case they have questions or need help with anything. The charity auction, the Bake Off, the apple pie Bake Off thing. If we do that again this year, the bar trot. I'd like special events to handle that this time. Planning that and just getting that all organized. Danielle, what else was in that list that we talked about the other day? What did I forget? Oh, the cosplay contest.
Yeah, that. Yep. Okay. I think that was pretty much it. Autograph sessions. Somebody on hand for autograph sessions, I think, and then
yes,
bar trot cosplay contest. I think.
Yeah. So autograph sessions from the angle of manning the door, like helping crowd control and things like that. We may or may not be selling, we will be selling autograph vouchers at the con store, and we have an entirely dedicated separate team that'll be running the con store this year, as opposed to having registration kind of share that. We're going to kind of split that off and let each one focus on their thing. We may or may not also sell vouchers at the door. Just because a lot of people expect that they're going to be sold there, and I hate having to kick people out of line to go get vouchers and then come back. So we'll figure that out. Yeah. So cool. So I think that pretty much covers everything. Now,
and I forgot things like the cosplay contest. You covered that already, but that'll be nice to have a department dedicated specifically for that instead of trying to do things like with MSP. Just didn't really have that split off, so I ended up doing things like doing musician acquisitions and setting up the autograph room and just manning the cosplay contest. I had to man it myself because we didn't have the extra hand to take care of that. So that'd be nice, a nice change.
If anybody is finding themselves to be overworked, like you've got too much on your plate, or vice versa, if you have free time and you'd like to help plan things in advance pre-con, please make sure that you let me or Corey or if you're a department head, let your director know, so that we can make sure that stuff is balanced out and try and get help and allow people to help, just to make sure that we accomplish this agreed goal of making sure that things don't end up the last minute. On the vendor hall side of things, just in case anybody did not know this, vendor hall applications for vendors did close or are closing today in an hour now, hour and a half. So after that, vendors are going to be selected, and then they'll start getting up on the website as soon as they pay their table fees, and then a map will be put together at some point. Just so you guys know the timeline for that. Panel applications have been kind of slow so far, so I'm going to be re-pushing that and on the PR and social media side of things to try and get some more panel applications. And then of course we're going to be reaching out.
Do you have a definitive end date for those, so we can start pushing? Hey, you only have 1 month to get your applications in, anything like that?
There will be an end date for those. We haven't established that yet. That's kind of falls into what I wanted to kind of figure out in this meeting, is figure out how much time we needed to have everything that comes after the close of panel applications. I want to make sure we have enough time, because because after the panel applications close, aside from then picking and selecting and scheduling and contacting all the panelists and getting all that organized, then there's also all the PR side of things, the conbook, the website, everything that then has to take that information and do something with it after everything's been decided by the programming team. So on that note, Dave, if you have an idea right now, when would you want panel applications to close to make sure that there's enough time on your end and my end to do everything we need to do after that's done?
I would like to ideally have them close at least 6 weeks prior to the convention date, at least. And I'd like to have the schedule out a month in advance, if that's possible. With MSP, we ended up running right up until con almost. So that was fun.
Yeah. So okay, so you're saying close apps 6 weeks beforehand, and then you're saying have the schedule up 4 weeks beforehand. So so you believe that you'd be able to take from close of applications to having a schedule done 2 weeks? You think that's a time frame that you guys can stick to?
I think that's reasonable, and especially with the manpower that we have now to actually sort through that. And see, that's why as soon as I came on for staff, I said, okay, I'm going to appoint a deputy right now, almost, because I was like, yeah, MSP was just too hectic and just really needed someone to just kind of help take on some of the things that's just the extra little stuff, like musician acquisitions at the time. That was eating up a lot of time trying to work out who's getting what and hotels for people, and just do as a mess. So, but we definitely have the management staff to handle that now, so that works out.
Okay.
I'm happy with it.
So then let me think this through. So panel applications close 6 weeks prior.
Mhm.
Schedule is ready and posted on the website 4 weeks prior. Probably take. See, I actually would like to have to get to the point where the con book is going to print probably 3 weeks prior, to make sure with at least having that be the goal, so that if we miss it, we still even have a buffer, so that we don't have to worry about like rush fees and things like that.
Mhm.
So if we have the goal set of con book going to print 3 weeks prior, I would want at least 2 weeks to actually put the book together. So that would be 5. And then so I think we should actually close applications 2 months out, 8 weeks out. So that way we can push everything back and have enough time to do everything.
Okay,
After that.
yeah,
Do you think
yeah,
do you think that sounds good?
Yeah, I think that's more than reasonable, because I really don't want to be put in a bind again where we're trying to sort out if we have enough panel space. And I know it's a different situation at MSP. For those that don't know, we actually changed venues. What was that, 4 months prior to? Or no, it was
weeks out.
Three
It was
months,
it was exactly 8 weeks out.
8 weeks out. Jesus.
Yeah, 8 weeks. I almost said, what did I say, 4 months? No, it was 2 months out. So we had to just kind of rush, and we had an overflowing vendor hall, and we still made it work, though. But it was definitely crunch time down to the last minute, and wanted to definitely avoid that this time.
And
so.
Dave, don't worry, if you guys are getting all of the panels and event stuff done 8 weeks in advance, then that means that I can get AV finalized 6 weeks in advance, and everything left from there is just cleanup.
Yeah. That works out perfect. So I think 8 weeks, and then have 2 weeks to sort through the schedule and actually build it, and then turn it over to you and get the con book made. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can actually have that done in a week, but
Yeah, but by that time, it's contingent on all the other special events, make sure we have all the VIP pieces.
Yeah, that's true.
Well.
Yeah, I still want 2 weeks to be safe, but yeah, I'm just thinking about how much ground we can cover.
I'm gonna throw a crazy idea out there. Tell me if you think that if this will be helpful or just a hindrance. Have you ever thought about the idea of basically just coming up with a skeleton schedule in advance, and then having the blocks, then you just take the panels and kind of pop them into place?
That's typically what we do, and it kind of depends. We have the panel schedule from last year's Cider Fest, and we just tend to take last year's schedule and build off of that, and just swap these in. And
yeah, Dave, remember?
The only things. Oh, sorry, Lars.
I remember when we were working on MSP's schedule, I just sort of pulled up MSP's schedule from the previous 2 years and dusted it off, and I said, Jesus, become cookie cutter.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah.
And the only thing that proves to be interesting is adding in things we didn't have before, like adding in a gala specialized event, and then adding in panels that request 2-hour slots rather than a normal 1 hour, or maybe a 90-minute slot. Just trying to make all those fit together. And some people have different preferences for schedule time, so we try to work with that. But I know I can get away with throwing some panelists just in a random slot, and they'll deal with it. So. There's quite a bit of planning that goes into it.
Quite a bit of playing around, too. I'm guilty of a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've called upon Larsis a few times to, actually every time, to hey, help me build the schedule, okay?
Yeah, something that our staff has probably never seen if they don't get to see the working schedule is I'll put little things on there like the Feast of Delicious Cake has appeared on the schedule at least once.
So I tell them about Drinky Winky's magic bottle of
Oh,
ginger
God.
ale.
Yeah, don't worry, Charlie told me not to do that this time, so I'm going to listen to him.
But it's Cider Fest. That's perfect. Come on.
Okay, so what it is that MSP this year, I was informed that the gala event wasn't going to be happening, so I just looked at that and said, well, that means my staff is off at 9, except for the secondary room, so I just put that block in there as a joke, figuring it's obviously absurd enough to be taken as a joke.
Well,
Yeah, and then I ended up editing it.
it was approved. But sure, why not? And that turned into story time with Uncle Mitch, rather.
So sorry about that.
No, that was fine. Well, I guess that should have been Charlie if he still had grievances over that.
Over what specifically?
Oh, the title
magic.
for that panel. And you're going, really? Who submitted this? How did this get approved?
You know,
We're gonna have a little bit of fun with it, right?
there are certain things where I just don't bother asking questions, mainly because I just don't know the answers. But no, that was fine.
Far too long already.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay. Lars, I know that in the past that trying to get things nailed down for like the AV contracts have been there have been timeline issues there. Like, what can we do to help, and what do you need to make sure that that is not an issue this time around?
Basically, I just need to know what panels need what equipment. I need to know if any panels need special equipment, and I'd like that at least after the schedule is finalized, because then I can contact the AV company and say, all right, I need my standard front of house setup for the main room. I need these setups for these other rooms, and I also need, I don't know, this kind of DI for this sort of equipment, or I need this sort of interface for these sorts of instruments, that sort of thing. Or I know I'm going to have 2 full bands, so I need extra power strips. Just little things like that.
Okay. Yeah. So have you looked at the panel application that we have for this year?
No.
Okay. Do me a favor, take a look at that, and let me know if there's anything that we're not asking on there that you would need to know. I'm trying to get to the point where we can ask everything we need to on the initial application, so that once somebody's approved, we don't need to then go ask them like a whole bunch more questions. So if there's anything that's missing on the application, make sure to let me know so I can add it, and then ask the people that have already applied to add that now, just so we can not have to worry about it later.
I mean, the number one thing, the thing that's been the biggest headache in the past has been projection screens, because we've had panels ask for them and not get them. We've had panels not ask for them and demand them on site. So that's just one of those ones where if
or have panels that demand specialized equipment that they didn't mention before, like an overhead drawing projector. Like,
oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. Actually, that reminds me of this year's MSP with the Pictionary panel, which ended up becoming.
Those easels were sitting in ConOps for a reason, and everyone looked past those. It's like,
well, I wasn't told this, and it's.
I know.
Also, I'm gonna pull a Microsoft on this one, not my department.
There you go.
Yeah, one of the changes I made to our application this year for panels was I asked, do you need a projector? Like, do you absolutely have to have one, or do you want one, but can you do without one? You know, so that way we understand how important it is to have a projector. So that way we have that information when putting people into rooms, because I'm assuming we're not going to have a projector in panel B again just because money.
I can see one thing that I would ask, which is your computer a Mac? And the reason for that is I'm not saying preference. It's just Macs have a specialized connector, and as an owner of a Mac, it's a pain in the butt. I mean. It's real. I've got to carry adapters. You've got to go through a 3-stage handshake process with the equipment. I think you have to submit a blood sample with TSA. It's just a hassle.
Yeah.
I was going to interject with the firstborn child, but you know.
Well, that's old Apple. They have a new CEO now.
Yeah. Doesn't require the
right. Matt, from a security standpoint, what do you need to know, aside from the obvious things like a panel being 18 or 21 plus? Is there anything else that you need to know so that you can write your security schedule?
I mean, more so just time frame of any events that you need us to staff, whether it's doors or whatnot. Other than that, I mean, we can pretty much work around what's needed. As long as I can get a general idea of when you're going to need, when certain panels will need us to do doors, whether it's to ID or just check badges, We can pretty much move around as needed.
Okay. Also, side note, and this goes for everybody, make sure that you look at the number of slots. The stuff you think that you have not enough or too many slots. Just to make sure that we don't want people standing around because you've got too many people, but also we want to make sure that you've got enough people to have coverage. So if you think you have too many or not enough slots on that sheet, my intention is to fill all the slots that are on that sheet as it is right now. We're almost there. There's only about a dozen slots open across the entire sheet, which is really good at this point. But let me know if I need to make any changes to that.
Yeah, actually, I have a point on that with my AV team. To pick the number of slots that I need to know how many rooms we have.
I believe the layout is going to be. Well, okay. So let me ask: does anybody have any suggestions to change the layout from last year?
I think the layout from last year would be just fine. The downstairs panel rooms being right next to each other, that seemed to do okay. We ended up putting a lot of new panelists in the one room, the third panel room, any overflow from the main hall, the second panel room, and then obviously the main hall was downstairs. But the only gripe there was the secondary panels didn't really get as much traction because the signage wasn't the best. So that's the only real improvement I can think to make to try and help that out.
Okay. Yeah, it seems to be with these hotels that there's always some rooms that we have to take advantage of. They're like way off the beaten path. Basically nobody knew we had a video gaming room at Windy City because it was so far away from everything else. We tried to make a sign to point to it, but it wasn't enough. We should have had more. But okay, so
corner.
It really was. It was like a completely separate part of the hotel. That was by far the biggest complaint we got about Windy City. People are just like, what video game room? Which is a shame because Frederick puts together awesome video game rooms. So you think like the room size and everything was good? Can you think?
If we're smart with the panel placement, we're not going to put, say, Bronies React. We're not going to put them in the third panel room because we adjust kind of by crowd draw more than anything. Honestly, if we have the amount of panel submissions that MSP had, we probably could bypass the third panel room altogether and just have the two, but that remains to be seen because I haven't even seen the panel applications yet.
Okay. The one thing of that and you'll probably remember this from last year that Corey's impressed is that we've got that third room and it's just part of the package. Corey's essentially paying for it, and so I know he wants to utilize all the space that we have. So if we don't have we'll be using that third room for something. So if we don't have enough panel applications to fill it with panels, we'll have to figure out something else to put in there.
Absolutely. And that worked out really well at MLP MSP, for example. We just ended up splitting the two gaming rooms, have just a dedicated tabletop gaming and a dedicated arcade, and that worked fantastic.
Yeah, I believe I think we did that at Ciderfest last year. That will be the plan again this year. I know that there was the autograph room last year at Ciderfest. I know that a lot of people thought it was too small. And the fact that the room only had one door to go in and out of it is not ideal. Not ideal for an autograph room. Yeah. So that's as far as layout's concerned, I know that's probably the one room that we would be looking to change, if anything, just based on logistics of things. But
would you want? Well, you'd run into the same problem. I just thought, would you want to move the autograph room downstairs? But that would create a whole new traffic jam. So,
because you have that one hallway.
Yeah, the one hallway, which is a big hallway. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of line management to do there, but you only have one entrance and exit.
Sell them a cider while they're waiting, Oh,
that's true.
Yeah. If only we got credit for that on food and beverage. But, oh well. The only problem with doing that is I know that there's an argument to be made for having the autograph room front and center in front of people because that's income, and so hiding it downstairs under the escalators might not be the best financial decision. But
there's that too.
Yeah. Okay, so Okay, so be thinking about layouts if you guys have any suggestions for changes to make there, or if you have run into any problems with the event spaces compared to what we did last year. Like I say, autograph room might be the only reason why we might need to change things, but we might. I have to talk to our tabletop guys and see how the room fit for them last year. I feel like the room was the right size for them last year. I feel like all the rooms, as far as size were concerned, were perfect except for autographs too small. So. Yeah, I just have to figure that out. Danielle, as far as that room that we used for all the charity stuff, do you think that was like how helpful was it?
It was, so long as we had tables, it was an adequate room. Like I'm pretty good at Tetris, so I can make it work. The only issue with that was the time we had for the charity auction. Actually, the room itself was very sufficient. So I would say that the location of the charity room was fine. It was front and center so people could see it. So and we weren't short on donations last year. So
we had too many donations, you said, or not enough?
No, that's not at all what I was saying. I was saying that was a good spot because people came and looked at stuff, and so.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Didn't get to my mute. Sorry. Okay, so, but do you feel that having a room like that is a necessity for you?
I don't necessarily feel that having a room like that is a necessity. We did have a lot of people come and walk through the room, see what was available for auction, and I know that the people who had commented, "Oh, I'm going to come back and buy this item," did actually show up and bid on those items. So I think there was a certain level of hype that came with people to come in and actually see what was available. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Does make sense.
Do you the hours that room was open? Do you think that the hours you had it open were good, or would you change to be open more or less this year?
I would say opened at a good time. I would maybe move the closing. I don't even honestly off the top of my head remember how long it opened, but I would say you could probably move the closing up by like a half hour to an hour if necessary. Most of our traffic was via midday, and we got like a short burst, I think, right after the dealer's hall.
Okay, cool. One sec, sorry. Server rat, from an operations side of things, is there anything you need to know to make sure that all the planning you need to do for your departments happens on schedule?
Nothing that hasn't been mentioned already that I can think of right now. If I think of something, I'll shoot you a message.
The one thing that I would like to do better with, I mean, like I know that this kind of goes without saying, but I definitely want registration to be better this year, especially on the Thursday and the morning rushes. So if you could work with Mike Schaefer and make sure that they start to get set up earlier, like with MSP, for example. I think even Winnie City, I know that they didn't start getting that until like 4 p.m. to open at 6. That's not enough time. So try and see what you can do with them to help organize and get them the manpower that they need to get things set up. I don't know what the badge situation is going to be this year. I'm anticipating it's probably going to be the same as it has been with the paper badges with the Dymo labels. Those badges we had for MSP were fantastic, but they're also very expensive, and so I know Corey is being very budget conscious this year because BronyCons in general seem to be on its downcline. So we need to make sure that we're being very careful with our money. So we're probably going to do paper and Dymo again, which means having a badge labeling and stuffing party. And so just I do not want to have a repeat of what we had at Ciderfest and at Winnie City of having registration being opening several hours later than it was supposed to, just having things running behind. So I just need to make sure that you're coordinating with registration and pulling in anybody you need to help make sure that that's all happens when it's supposed to.
Well, I believe this is the earliest I've ever been brought in to help manage these things, so I've been planning on changing the way a lot of things that I do. We're going to have a lot more communication, all that fun stuff.
I'm very happy to hear that. Now the one thing that we are kind of handicapped with this hotel is that coat check room is not the biggest area. So did you have any ideas for, I don't know, like we're stuck in that room. I don't think there's a better space, but expanding things, like maybe adding a table or something. The idea crossed my mind, for example, of maybe anybody that's pre-registered having their stuff ready off to the side, and then they can just come and we can scan them, give them their badge, and they're gone. And then for anybody that hasn't paid yet and they're doing it at the door, they can actually go up to the counter, and that's where they have the printers and have everything, the registers and all that. Does that kind of make sense, or did you have another idea?
Maybe, I don't remember the clearance between the main hall door and the coat check, but maybe we can just set up tables in front of the coat check and make that where reg is going to be instead of being inside coat check. Also, from a security standpoint, if it's possible this year, if we could just not store reg gear overnight in the coat check for reasons for obvious reasons, if that's possible this year.
It would just be a matter of just walking everything up to ops or somewhere where it can be secured. So if that's something you wanted to organize, by all means, have at it.
All right.
Okay, here's a question that I've been wondering in the past 2 years. Where is ops?
It is in that management room that no one knows where it is. I forgot where it is.
So that
should be an indicator right there.
So, Lars, you remember last year where the Renegade stage was?
Yeah.
Right, you know that giant projector screen? You know that first balcony that was directly above the projector screen?
Yeah.
If you're looking at the projector screen, at that balcony, if somebody was walking to the right, they're walking to the manager's suite.
Okay, good. Now I know, because I remember I sent him... I think I sent Shane to get my radio because I didn't know where it was, and he did. No, I remember what it was now. I said I need a radio, and Dave said I'll get you a radio, and the radio just appeared at my AV booth.
You're welcome.
Wait, thank you for mentioning radios. Server Rat, how are we on? How's our radio situation? Did the radios that we use at MSP, because those are the same ones, are those like working okay? Because I remember we had problems with them at Ciderfest last year. Half of them were programmed right or something.
All of them are programmed on the same channel. A problem I noticed at MSP, which Corey's going to have to look into, is that some of them, the battery packs just seem to be dead on them. But upon further investigation, I also noticed that the new radios he bought have a different charging station, and people are putting them in the wrong charging station. So that might have been the issue, but it's something that might need to be looked into before the con. Like, I think some of the battery packs are bad on the radios.
Okay.
It may be time to get Motorolas.
Well, I know we don't have I'm certain we don't have a budget to get new radios. But getting some new batteries, I imagine that would be something that would be feasible, because I'm pretty sure those radios have been around for a while. So do me a favor, coordinate with Corey on that, and see if that's something that you and him can work out, because there is radio. So.
We actually have two questions in the chat over here. The first one is someone trapped in a steamer, Trump. What's that thumping? So, Vivid, it's coming from you, I've noticed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been typing.
And the second one is, what are the plans to avoid a power outage? Well, this year, I've been informed the hotel has had to have their power inspected, because they have to do that every 10 years, and our convention last year happened right at the end of that, so they've had to rebuild that. So the hotel's power itself should be good. And as long as, we get the shakeups and no one plugs anything into their power strip, we should be good. So the only thing I can see is, I don't know, a truck crashing into the side of the building or something.
What I would definitely suggest is, Lars, tell me if I'm remembering this wrong, is that part of the problem that happened last year at Ciderfest was that we didn't try and draw that amount of power like that we needed for the concert until right before the concert. So
no, we did. I did a complete test before that. We drew plenty of power just fine. What would happen was one of the musicians on stage saw a power strip there, and I don't blame them on this. No one told them not to. they plug their equipment into the power strip the shake-ups were using. Now the shake-ups have a amplifier for their guitars from the Kennedy administration. So this means it's a tube amplifier. It means it works on a completely different principle from all electronics made today and throws off all kinds of frequency noise. It means that if you try to plug the sort of electronic instrument that they were plugging into that power strip in with it and then route it to our snake, it creates what's called a floating ground, because the hotel system was outdated, couldn't handle that, and it caused the whole system to trip out.
Really interesting. I never heard that part of the story. So, okay.
Yeah, that's the full story on that. I'm just putting that out there with all managers present to know what happened last year.
So just for my information, would having like a power conditioner in the loop have prevented that from happening, or like was it?
No, that's the problem. Is that, like I said, all kinds of frequency noise.
Okay.
So the best solution is the shake-ups get their own power strip and I gaff tape over the other plugs so no one else plugs into them.
All right.
Or anyone like the shake-ups. I'm just using them as a case example.
Sure, yeah. As far as I know, we're having them back again this year. I believe that.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
I love working with them.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. If in case anybody doesn't know what happened last year with the power situation, in case you're going like, what are they talking about? What Laura just described, the power basically caused like about a 2-hour delay by the time we finally got things up and running. A 2-hour delay in the concert. We didn't. We thought we were gonna have to cancel it altogether.
Also, for those of you who weren't here last year, you'll hear a rumor about how we had to shut down the hotel last year. Well, that's not really a rumor. That is exactly what we did. Our 100 amp drop was attached to a 1,000 amp drop, which was talked to a 10,000 amp main that happens to also control the power for the front desk, all the lights in the pre-function area, all the lights in all the hallways, and the kitchens in all the restaurants. So what we ended up having to do was radio to all of them and tell them that we were going to shut down the power. And down in the basement, one of our guys had this really determined look on his face. I have to say there's a vine of it somewhere. And he just yanks the power and shuts it all down. And he opens the case, and there's different size fuses. So on the 100 amp drop, they're about the size of, medicine bottle. And in the 1,000 amp drop, they're about the size of about 2 film canisters on top of each other. For those of you who don't know what film is, it's about the size of 2 medicine bottles on top of each other. And the 10,000 amp drop is 3 that are the size of 2 coffee cans stacked on top of each other. And so Sleepy opens this thing up, and there's these things in there, and he looks at them, and he looks at the meter in his hands, and he looks back at them and says, I can't diagnose these. Just the stray voltage on these is going to fry this meter.
Obviously.
So the fix ended up being that the electrician who, in his old age, happened to remember that the other 100 amp drop on the far end of the vendor hall was on a separate line, told us about that, and we were just there like, why didn't you tell us that 2 hours ago? So we rewired the entire stage in 15 minutes. My AV crew, for the 2 people, it looks like, who are actually watching from my crew, are top-notch. Because that would have taken any other crew probably half an hour to an hour.
I can vouch for that.
Alright guys, I apologize. I need to get going for the night.
Oh, no problem, Vivid. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for stopping by and introducing yourself.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night.
And get better, please.
Yeah, I got the poor fella. He's got a massive fever going on, and he leaves for Europe in 2 days.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. Oops.
Anyways, the reason why I mentioned this and coming off of mentioning the shake-ups is that while all of this was going on, the shake-ups basically volunteered to set up in the lobby outside the main hall and just basically perform an acoustic set just to keep everybody happy and entertained, just because they're awesome people.
Oh yeah, actually.
Once the power was finally restored, they then went up and did almost their entire full electronic set as well. So just heroes of the con as far as I'm concerned. So, but anyways, digressing. Okay, so Danielle, there's as far as special events go, like there's a lot of stuff that you are going to need help planning with. I know that you had mentioned a few things about wanting to know the pubs that were visited last year. I'm going to try and see if I can find that list, or if somebody happens to have it handy, go ahead and please send that my way. The one thing the biggest thing I was displeased with the pub trot last year is that half the bars didn't even know we were coming, and it seems to me, I've never organized a pub trot or a bar crawl or whatever, so maybe I know what I'm talking about, but it seems to me that if we communicated with the bars ahead of time and basically pitched it as we're looking for bars that we want to bring however many, 20, 30, whatever people to. We want to know if you guys would like to be one of them, and if so, what you can do for all these people that we're bringing to you. That we should be able to work out some sort of, I don't know, deal or something for all the people that we're bringing in there. Maybe I'm crazy, but that seems like something we should be able to do. So I would like to try and do that this year to give people a reason to go on the pub trot with us, as opposed to just the social aspect of it. I'd like to, like if you come in with a Cider Fest badge, you get like, I don't know, $1 off a beer or whatever. I have no idea, but has anybody, Matt, have you done yeah.
Yeah, I've helped organize pub crawls before. Places, as long as you give them a heads up and say, hey, we'll bring in X amount of people, they'll usually give you some kind of a special. Especially if you got a badge, anybody that's got the badge on or something, they should, whether it's $1 off or free appetizer or something like that. Most places are willing to kick in something, assuming you're going to bring in X number of people. Now, with it being Halloween weekend, that may change, but it's still putting it out.
That's true. I didn't think about that. But yeah, Daniel, see what you can do as far as that's concerned. And then on the gala side of things, I don't know. I don't remember the name of the person that we had help do the waltz instructor last year. Do you happen to remember that person's name? You do? Okay. So what's that, sorry?
Thatch has his email.
Okay. So maybe reach out and see if he'd be willing to contribute again. And then my understanding is that in past years, like the first year, I guess, did the first year have a actual like quartet or no? Or am I imagining that?
We wanted to have a quartet. We had someone who wrote music for it, but we were not in. We were unaware that we had a budget to hire musicians, or exactly how much that budget was until like a week before the con, which was too short of notice to get stuff.
Sure.
Quartet. So
right.
we wound up having AV do it then, and then last year Sleepy Pony stepped up and did it. And did well, so. Okay.
How beneficial do you guys think it would be if we actually had like performers? Do you think a DJ is adequate?
I feel that if we're trying to balance budgets, I think Sleepy Pony did a very good job last year. He did a very good job of balancing classical music with the top 20 pop whatever and like popular songs within the fandom. So people were both waltzing, but they were also dancing, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I felt that he did a really good job. If we could get someone like him again, I don't think it would necessarily be all that important. If we had people who we knew and who would be willing to like play 1 or 2 songs or something, I think that would definitely be very cool. But I don't personally know a lot of people who play quartet instruments. Corey might know some more given his.
Last year there's a website that I found that's basically a directory for that kind of thing. There's a website that's basically a specialized directory for string quartets and stuff like that. So I can try and dig that up again. I'll talk to Corey and see if he has theoretically any kind of budget for this. If I remember correctly, Corey said that for the first year he did try and get some performers, but the way that he tells it, that I'm currently recalling, so this is like third-hand recollection, is that anytime when he got into the conversation with somebody that was in the price range, as soon as he said it was for a pony convention, they were like, oh, never mind, no thanks. So
We did get a few of those. We also did have people who were okay with it, but they were out of our price range, and so we could try. I definitely, if there is a budget, I'm a-okay trying. Otherwise, if we have someone who is either Sleepy Pony or can provide a set similar to Sleepy Pony's set from last year, I think that would be fine too.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else in the chat went to the gala and if they have feelings on it, but
from what I remember on the PR side of things, response to the gala was good. I didn't really hear anybody complain about the fact it was a DJ. So I mean, based on that and what you're saying, it sounds like a DJ is probably just the better way to go, just because it's one less thing to worry about.
Well, the other thing is that a gala is basically a party. People are in it to have fun. So if you're playing waltzes the entire time, it's just going to start slow and stay slow.
No, sure, that's true.
What he did is he started off that way, then he tossed in a few other things, and he ramped it up towards the end. And at the very end, he was taking requests from, to quote him directly, a 6-year-old asked for this song. I'm not going to say no to that.
That's fair.
So, like,
okay.
He did a really good job in the beginning. People were excited because they had their waltz lesson, but then as people waltzing started to slow down, he played progressively more dancey music. So a lot of Lindsey Sterling. So.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right. Okay, cool. Just kind of put some thought into that. Reach out to that Wolf guy and see if he'll help us out again this year. Also across the board for everybody, given that this is Halloween weekend, anything that you guys can think of to Halloween up the con. I mean, just like let us know. Like, obvious brought up. The obvious thing is that to do some sort of trick or treat thing. One of the things that I saw at Everfree Northwest is they basically had a cosplay parade that went through the con. Now, obviously, the hotel at Everfree is much larger than ours, and so having a parade go through the con is a more exciting thing because it's actually like this giant sprawling hotel. But nonetheless, I definitely want to put a focus on cosplaying, on dressing up, and coming in costume, and just in general, and just really taking advantage of the fact that it's Halloween weekend. And so going along with that, any twist that you guys can think of, especially with our opening and closing ceremonies, especially our opening ceremonies, I would love to hear as many ideas as possible. I'm talking to managers and staff and anybody that's watching this. Any ideas that anybody has to make our opening ceremonies more exciting and more interesting than just like, hi, welcome, here's some guests, have fun. I would love for it to be more and actually have it be a ceremony, like something exciting, having a reason to go other than, oh, look, there's some people on stage talking. If anybody has anything they want to throw at me right now, cool. Otherwise, think about it and let me know. But definitely would like to up our game there.
Well, that's the thing is I'm actually in a chat with a bunch of musicians right now. I always just sort of pick a song that fits what I think the theme of the convention should be. If anyone wants me to poke them about making one for us, let me know.
Making a song would be great. Also, if somebody wanted to do a PMV, a pony music video, or I have no idea how long it takes to do those videos, or like the SFM videos. I don't know how long it takes to do those things, but having like last year we had that video made for us for opening ceremonies, which we forgot to play opening ceremonies, but having something visual made for the con that we can even post on YouTube, I would love to do that again. I personally don't have any perception of how long that takes, so I don't know if it's too late for that or not.
How long do we have until the convention?
Just under 4 months.
Just under 4 months. That'd be pushing it.
Okay.
Like a lot.
Well, I mean, maybe a collaboration. I don't know. But if anybody has any ideas, please let me know. Let's see. But yeah, no. But even aside from that, I mean, any ideas that you guys have to Halloween up the con? I mean, please. I really want to take advantage of this because I'm not anticipating. Assuming Ciderfest comes back next year, I'm not anticipating it being on Halloween weekend again. In case you missed it in the chat before, we didn't want this weekend. We had to go this weekend due to venue availability. we didn't want to be this early. We wanted to be farther away from Nightmare Nights, both just for the separation of things, for the logistics of things, and also we don't want to step on their toes. But considering we got Halloween weekend, we can't not do Halloween. And so, you know, it's we have to take advantage of it because that's where we are. So, ideas, please. Let's see. Is there anything you guys want to talk about, or anything you guys want to bring up?
I think we've covered everything that has to do with my department.
Okay.
We could do something fun with the like Halloween themed for the cosplay contest, but I'll have to kind of think that out a little more before I submit anything to you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely work with Danielle on that. And then I know that Sydney and Olivia, they you know, they've done a couple cosplay contests, and they you know, they're you know, they're in the, you know, Sydney's a handler this year, so I don't know how much she's actually going to be able to contribute to other things like the cosplay contest. But Olivia's in vendor hall, and she was mentioning in chat that she had some ideas, and so she you know, she may be willing to help pitch in and plan things. Danielle, if you want / need the help. Yeah, so what I'm going to be doing is I had mentioned before, I had asked managers to put together basically like bullet points for all the things you guys need to plan out ahead of time, and how long it'll take for those things. You know, like if you were watching earlier, what Dave and I was doing with you know, basically figuring out how many weeks it was going to take to do, you know, like the book, and then, you know, so when panel applications need to close and getting the whole timeline figured out. There's a project manager tool that I'm looking at called. If anybody's used this, tell me what you think. Sorry, it's Teamwork. It's just called teamwork.com, I think. Yeah, teamwork.com, and it's a project. It's a free project manager tool that has it does like Gantt charts and things like that. And so just you know, just for organizing all this stuff. And so unless anybody can tell me no, don't use it, it's horrible. I'm going to try and see if I can put everything in there. So send me your bullet point lists whenever you get a chance over, like, here's everything I need to do, here's how long it's going to take me, so then I can fit that in with the whole mess and put together the whole picture of the schedule of the con. Yeah, as far as people that aren't here, I know that we have to talk about kids department and see where we're at with supplies and what kind of things they want to plan out this year. And then where's my other window? Oh yeah, the other thing is that Dave, just, you know, on the programming side of things. Well, Dave, let me ask you, what did you think of those paid ticketed special events we had, like at MSP?
At MSP?
Yeah.
I have to say I liked having some of the special events that we did. I just thought it got a little excessive with how many, the sheer volume of special events. They're cool ideas, like play a tournament of ping pong with Vincent Tong. That was actually his idea. We're like, yeah, let's do that. Like how to make pies with Anila Heed. Taco time with Marika. Like, just no-brainer stuff, but just got to a breaking point. You're wondering, okay, what's your to me at least, what's your ticket really getting you? Like a general 3-day pass, as far as like what kind of events and things you can go to. Because if all the extra like awesome events are, you know, either paid or they're sponsor events, that really kind of limits you know, what people are willing to pay at other spots in the con, like, you know, vendor hall. It's like, oh, do I want to go get this thing at the vendor hall, or do I want to spend my $20 and just go enjoy tacos with Marika? You know, that's just it comes from somewhere else.
Do you feel that the special events hurt the vendor hall?
I wouldn't say directly, but I did talk to a few people that, and I wouldn't take this as a general consensus, but
Okay.
just in the small pool that I heard complaints from, just, you know, this was just mostly vendors. They said that you know, would have liked to have done better. So, but then I had other vendors that said they did just great and everything was fine. They were happy with the convention. So there's no silver bullets there, but it could have been a factor. I definitely, like I said, didn't like having so many extra paid events. Like, I think, like, having probably 3 or 4 is, probably the max there. And that covers, like, I'm trying to think here. Like, the sponsor events, say we had, like, the dinner with the VIPs that we had top-tier sponsors geared for. We had to meet that requirement because that's what we offered, and so that was a given. I think we ended up having 6 total paid events though at MLP MSP. I think scaling that back, it's a good idea. It does make it does make a good amount of money for the convention, but you just have to have some limit to it.
Well, out of curiosity, do you guys know? I know Corey would be the one I would need to ask this question to because he was the one who was working with the hotel for MSP. But do you, by chance, have any perception of whether or not those events were actually profitable for MSP or not?
I had to talk to Chase or Corey. Corey might know. From what I understand, they were profitable to the convention. But like I said, it just I think there's just little factors like taking money from other places that usually would get that, and people just gravitating towards saying, okay, what does my general 3-day pass get me, and do I want to spend this little extra here, and like nickel and dime kind of situation, and that's not what I want a convention to be,
Right. No, I completely agree.
That's about the most I can really think of in that realm.
Okay. I'm trying to think what else. Okay, I think that pretty much covers everything that we can cover with the people that are here. Unless you guys have any questions. Are there any unanswered questions in chat? I haven't been able to pay too much attention.
I don't see anything.
Okay.
I did see in the chat, in the general con chat, someone mentioned that too many could make the con look greedy and maybe drive people away. That's what we're trying to avoid. And I've never been to Gen Con, but we did have a cap on those special events. I think they were capped anywhere from 20 to 30 people at MLP MSP.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fine. But again, it draws people from other facets of the convention. And when you have so many, you have to look back at that 3-day general pass and say, okay, what am I really getting? You're asking, what's the price of our badges here this far out? Isn't it like
early bird, which ends today, is 40. Then the normal recon is going to be 50. At the door is going to be 60.
Yeah, well, at door. So say you go at door and you're paying $60. What does that $60 get you? That's what I. That I guess that's really my sticking point. Because if I were an attendee and I saw that they had like, oh, this is a really cool event, I want to go hang out with Marika. Oh, it's paid. Oh, this one too. Oh, that's paid. It's just the extra.
Yeah, and even if it's a small thing, like I was at Phoenix Comic Con a couple years ago. They had Will Wheaton's Awesome Hour, which was $10, and filled up pretty fast. But the fact that it was $10 still turned a lot of people off from going.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that too. There's like, I didn't come here for that. Personally, the one convention I went to was just to hang out with friends. I didn't go to a single panel. I didn't go to any events. I just went out and followed everybody around. Like, oh, I'm actually going to get lunch today. When does that ever happen at a convention?
Yeah, it was weird. I went to EQLA and I got there and I checked in. It's just I have no responsibilities at all.
I know. And then you're like, I need to find something to do because I'm bored after the first day. But
yeah, I remember I walked up to Sydney, not Sydney Ignatz. It's the
Armstrong.
Armstrong, yeah. And I said, and I've told this story to all of you, which was walked up to her on Saturday and said, I'll admit I've been trying to figure out what attendees do. I can't figure it out. And she says, I know, right? Do we drink now?
Pretty much. And you're going to the right place. You're going to be in Milwaukee, so that'd be perfect, actually.
So side note, just because just Scripper, I don't know if you had noticed this or not. I don't know if everybody's looked over all the sponsor perks we have this year, but Alicorn and Celestial and Equestrian sponsors.
Charlie, your microphone's breaking up really bad. At least on my end.
Yeah,
I'm not the only one.
they exterminate now.
Let me pull it closer. Is it?
It sounds like a cable's loose.
It's the built-in mic on my webcam, so that would be it.
Try hitting it.
Use a bigger hammer.
Hang on a second. I'll switch to the mic on my headset. All right, is this better or worse?
Oh god,
That's much better.
It's much better.
Better? All right.
It actually has much better overall sound quality too.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's a little. That's this.
Yeah,
So, all right.
that's so much better. Use that.
All right, noted. All right, well then, I don't know if you guys have looked over the sponsor perks, but Alicorn, Celestial, and Equestrian sponsors, one of the things that we added this year is express sponsor registration. So this is applicable to, of course, registration also for Scriver for you, is that there's going to be a specific, I don't know if it's going to be a station or a completely separate place away from the main chaos of registration where these people are going to go, but it's basically going to be like a no-wait, white glove like registration service, like just get in and like there's nothing that they have to wait in to do this unless they all happen to show up at once. But just make sure that you're aware that that's a thing. I know I saw something about this in chat, but yeah, many of the sponsor tiers include varying levels of autograph vouchers with them, so there's that. And then
Question actually about the sponsor.
yes.
So I was, because the charity room was right next to the sponsors lounge last year, and that miraculously fell to us to staff for most of it. There were a lot of people who were in like the first two, I think it's like was the Sparkle and the first two tiers weren't able to get into the sponsors lounge. And going back to the nickel diamond thing, if we're gonna have the sponsors lounge be like super exclusive to higher levels, is there any way that we could maybe like put it in its own room, kind of like how we have the cider lounge in its own room? It's not publicly super knowledgeably accessible to everyone, because there were also parents who had to be like, no, and like kids, you can't go in here, go over to kids programming and.
So there's a couple ways to look at that. The one way is that having it be in the view of everybody is kind of it's sort of advertising. It's just like, well, if you had paid for the better badge, you could have gone in this room. And so like as far as people who are coming back next year, obviously that's not the biggest perk in the world, but that might factor into knowing that was there, might factor into people upgrading or not. See, conversely, we did have the sponsor lounge in a suite for Winnie City, and most of the sponsors didn't even know it existed. Who could go in there? Like nobody knew about it. Now that's partially also on the fault of them for not informing them properly, but still having it be in plain sight, kind of negates that. The other side of it is that, like that room that we used, we don't have to pay for that room specifically. It's just included in the package that Corey gets with this hotel. Paying for a suite is like $190 whatever a day. So it's the
Then, like, if we can make this, like, if we're planning on, like, excluding other, like, sponsor tiers again this year, if it's going to be in the same room, can we, like, make a bigger sign, like a pop-up sign, just to put out of it, like, you have to have this level, and this level to enter? Because I get a lot of salty people who are like, well, I have the first two tiers. What do you mean I can't go in here? And I was like, I didn't make the rules, bro. Just enforcing.
Right. Yeah. No. That was something that I heard as well too. So having that be more clearly labeled in the con book, and maybe putting on the back of the badges like what you do and don't get. I don't know. Having that be better informed as well as signage, I think is definitely a good idea. Because yes, it is again restricted to certain tiers. Now, as far as whether or not it's going to be in a function space or in a suite will depend on how many sponsors we end up getting. So that'll be a part of it too. Because the flip side of having is that you either pay for a suite, but then we can stock it with our own food and beverage, or you have it in a function space, but then you have to pay the hotels insane prices for the stuff that they stock it with. In case anybody watching doesn't know this, like when when you are in one of those, like in the sponsor lounge last year, we had a stock with like soda and chips and bottled water. I think the hotel charges $6 or something like that for a bottle of water. And so they count all those, and then so when we have it in a function space, yeah, the room's free, but then if I bring in a case of water, that's $100 for a case, like a $10 case of water. So, so yeah.
And it wouldn't even necessarily need to be in, like, if you did go the route of putting it in not the public hotel space where you'd have to stock it, it wouldn't even necessarily need to be in a suite. You could just put it in a normal room, which I know is still 100 and something a day, but I will say that I also had a lot of sponsors walk by and would be like, what is this? And so, again, a lot of people didn't know about it, so I actually think it would be a good medium to just put on the back of sponsor badges, because they're already huge, or like give them a second little laminated cardstock thing that just says, this is what your badge gets you, and just pass it out at registration.
It's sounding like that we just need to better communicate with the sponsors before con what they can and can't have. That might be the easiest solution that we have right here.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think, yeah. So again, coming back to better registration, having the packets, or having like those bags that we had made up with like all the, once they finally got made, anyways, with all the sponsors like swag and everything in them, I think is a good idea. Having a simple sheet in there as well with like the just like where these rooms are, what they are, just in the sponsor packets that they get, I think will also help a lot. Even if it's, even if we can't do something fancier with like putting it on the back of badges, or something more that costs more than printing off a piece of paper, at the very least, just having an information sheet for sponsors where all this stuff is and who can go in where, I think will definitely help a lot of these things that you guys are saying. But all definitely need to be addressed. Just to answer here a question that I just saw come up in chat. The question was asked about why the sponsor lounge was dropped for the secondary tier sponsor budget. It's just a matter of we didn't make as much off of that badge last year as we needed to make as a con, and so that's why. And anytime we make changes like that, it all comes down to budget and the con being profitable. If we don't make money, we can't do it again next year. So.
Something completely unrelated. Charlie, right now I'm not getting the Ponyville Cider Fest domain page to load. It's giving me either a 502 or connections timing out.
Yes.
Our
layout.
Yeah, no, our web host is pissing me off right now. Our website goes down about 3 or 4 times a day now. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. And sometimes it's just for a few minutes. Sometimes it's like for 20 minutes. And unfortunately, they won't talk to me unless I have to give them like our login, information for them to support us. And the login right now, I've been asking Corey for it. The login that our site uses is shared with several other websites that Corey and his other related companies use. And the account owner for all of that forgot her password and forgot the email that it goes to, and so I can't get in. Is the short of it.
Oh, okay. I just was gonna check because I didn't see what the room layout was really quick.
Yeah, the web. It's a problem with the web host, but I can't get support with the problem until we get that login, and that is a bigger issue than I wish it was. But anyways, hoping that will be resolved soon because it's
okay.
It's,
well, the reason why I was gonna look that up. No, thanks for that. That's a good thing to know. But I was gonna see, what do we have going? You remember where the first year of Cider Fest? Were you there for that one, Charlie?
I was an attendee, but yeah, I was there.
Yeah. Do you remember where the secondary panel room was? When instead of going straight ahead to the main hall, you would take that left, and it was that first room when you came to around that corridor to your left?
Yes, that is where tabletop was last year, right?
I think so. Because I was going to say, could we move tabletop maybe down to where autographs was last year, move autographs up? Because there are 2 doors to go into that room right there.
Well, the autograph room, with the autograph room that we had last year, referring specifically to the size, I don't know. I don't remember right now. I'm pretty sure there's an air wall there, but I don't know what what our options are. Because tabletop, I think if I remember correctly, tabletop and autograph, it's all one big room but with air wall options. I just don't remember where those options are. Tabletop as it autographs as it stood last year is not big enough for tabletop.
I don't think there's an air wall for some reason, because I remember filming some panels in that room. EFN was still alive in 2014. That was, I think, the last convention we had ever recorded or streamed, whatever. Well, that was just my thought, was swapping those two rooms, that we had an indoor and an outdoor, because I remember that did have two sets of doors to go into that room. So that might be something worth considering.
Yeah, tabletop. Yeah, that tabletop will not fit in that smaller room. Absolutely, definitely not. I mean, depending on what kids programming ends up doing, I mean, maybe kids is an option for that room. I don't remember how, because I don't know. Depends on what kind of stuff they have in there. Like if we have if we have a comic artist come out and they do like a how to draw panel in there, I know that's a big draw. That'll probably need a bigger room. I don't, as far as like those rooms go, it's going to kind of come down to just what programming we have in them.
Sure. No, we can figure it out later.
Yeah. Okay, it's being confirmed that was not an air wall; it was a solid wall. So yeah, we're stuck with that, I think. And yeah, see that's the thing. Like that room was like just too small for autographs, but I don't know what else would fit in that room, because autographs needs like the least amount of space out of every single room, and so everything else is bigger. I don't even know what we would put in there if not autographs.
Yeah.
Well, you said what modifications would I make to the layout there. You didn't limit me to not using hammers.
Well, consider that limit imposed.
I was going to bring a work truck.
Yeah, Brent. The first year where autographs was, that room worked out pretty well, but it was also kind of the same size. But then it wasn't big enough for video gaming. Video gaming was in where I think autographs was last year in that little tiny room, and
yeah, it was.
That was before.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was not an impressive video gaming room. There was like 3 things in there, and now we have Frederick and his armada of wonderful machines, and so there's no way that's going to fit in that room. Yeah,
so here's the better question: should I try to poke Hollow Point again and get him back for Renegade stage?
Okay. So I'm just here. So 2 things. One, yes, because his equipment was fantastic, and we certainly appreciated his help. However, I lost count of the number of times I had to go yell at the Renegade stage because they were playing music with very blatant curse words in it. So whoever is dealing directly with the musicians, please remind them that this is a family-friendly convention. That includes any lyrics and words and music that's being played out into the convention space during daylight hours.
Now, was that last year or both years?
Well, I wasn't in. I can only speak to last year because that was the year I was paying attention.
Because last year he was supposed to come out, but there was this terrible car accident that prevented him from coming out last second.
So who did we have last year? No, that was. Oh yeah. So who did Renegade stage for Cyberfest last year? Who was that?
I forget.
Because they brought like that giant projector screen and everything. They brought a lot of great gear. But yeah, I know. I remember that. Now that you say it, I just don't remember who it was. Well, regardless, and it wasn't one musician. It was several musicians. Just they seem to forget that this is a kids convention. So.
The reason I asked specifically about Hollow Point is he's such a great guy. Whenever the accident happened, he messaged me and says, "I'm so sorry, I'm letting you down. I can't come." I said, "No, that's fine. Is everyone okay?"
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember that. Now that you're reminding me. But yeah, no, if he's willing to come out, I mean, we'd love to have him. If he needs anything for bringing all that gear out, because I seem to remember that we did something for the guy that helped us out last year. I don't remember what, but anyways, we'll talk about that later. But find out if he's available and willing first. But yeah,
I'm going to see him next week in person. So
perfect. But yeah, no, putting that aside, I really do not want to have to yell at musicians this year for content. Also, people were like playing like violent video games, like a pony mod of Skyrim on that giant screen in front of like little kids, just like, but it's a pony mod. No, it's Skyrim. No, stop it. So yeah, just having that.
Sorry.
So I was just gonna say, like having people bring that equipment and contribute their time and everything is greatly appreciated. But we just need to make sure to remind them of appropriate content.
They might also need to be reminded that they can't play it as loud as they were playing it at some points last year.
Yeah.
I remember several points where I had to send someone down there to ask them to please turn it down.
It's server rat.
Yes.
Was there first year?
I was not there first year.
Okay, who was here first year?
I was
Other
there.
than Dave.
Yeah.
I don't count.
No. The reason is that I remember the first year we didn't have any of those problems because I told Hollow Point 80 decibels, and he said no problem. And he actually had a decibel meter that he said, okay, it hasn't gotten above 83 the whole day. We've averaged 78, and I said okay.
More of that then, please. Yes.
Yeah, I need to work with I need to work with more professionals like you guys.
We are.
Sorry, who are you referring to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly Dave, but no, I'm kidding.
Oh, you're too nice.
All right. Lars, are you? So right now, without knowing when, I hate to have to say if, but I'm going to say if / when Drew comes back. So putting that question mark aside, are you good with, on the musician acquisition side of things, at least making the contacts and figuring things out and then passing the paperwork over to Drew? Are you good with that, or are you? Because I talked to Blue. He messaged me separately about in the Winnie City Slack about what you asked me about him possibly performing. And so while I had him, I said, by the way, would you be interested in doing this? First, he mentioned he wasn't sure if it would be a conflict of interest, being in charge of acquisitions and also performing. And I said, well, I don't see yourself giving yourself the headline spot, so I'm not really concerned about that.
Yeah, the other thing is that what I have acquisitions pretty much down because I'm, like I said, I'm in a chat for that. But what I need is an on-site manager, and I think Blue would be awesome for that.
Okay.
He herds cats. He doesn't realize he herds cats, though.
Yeah. Okay, so putting that aside, are we inviting Tetsuo?
I don't want to.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page on that one. Yeah.
I have nothing against him, but he's just for what he provides. He's demanding too much in return, in my opinion. So
yeah.
My problem is I'm gonna preface this with he's a great entertainer. He's an awesome musician.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like working in a rock factory, a rock foundry.
Yeah, no kidding.
What comes out of it's amazing, but the whole process along the way is very grating.
Yeah, I won't go into too much detail, but he was supposed to be at MLP MSP, and for personal reasons, he had to bow out at the very last minute, and for what we were looking, I'll straight out just say, for what we were looking to have him there for to perform and to have his equipment there for other musicians to use, it was far cheaper just to rent the equipment ourselves and just let the DJs have at it.
Now, I'm going to put a caveat on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's because I have a rapport with the company we rented that from. The number we got on that was lower than it should have been.
Yeah, that is a good point. I didn't forget about that.
Well, noted. Okay, well, just keep us apprised as to who you're looking to bring that in. The sooner we can have them all sign on the dotted line and get them announced, the better. Because then we can promote them, they can promote us, and
Hold on, we need a string quartet. Dear piano guys, and Lindsay Sterling.
I'm down for that.
So yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah. On that note, just so you guys know the timeline of things, I would love to be able to like have like some sort of guest announcement, whether it be a guest of honor or a community guest or a musician or something like that. To have because we're 16-ish weeks out, 4 months. I would like to have like an announcement a week until they're all done. Like just like really just keep it going. So we had Willa this week. And so if there's anybody that we can announce next week, I would love that. I know Corey and Drew are not here, and they're the other people that would be involved in that. But I'm just saying that so you guys know timeline side of things. But yeah, no. As soon as we can get any musicians signed, just so we can add them to the bill, add them to the website, and give people a reason to buy tickets, the better. But yeah, no, we've been doing pretty well in badge sales so far, especially this last week with doing this sale right before the right before the early bird price ends. I mean, like we've been doing pretty good. I think we're almost 100 pre-registered. With being this far out, I think is better than we were last year. So that's a good thing. All right. Just so we can go over 2 hours because that's enough. Anybody have any questions or anything else they want to talk about?
If AV needs stuff picked up, I like to know ahead of time so me and Shane don't have to go at 6 in the morning to go pick up Piper Drake.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I anything that needs to be picked up will be in my AV chat weeks ahead of time as a pinned post because we can do that now.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, Lars, have you, in your experience, do you think that we would get a better price if we book like far out, or if we book it like last minute? Like, what do you?
It really depends on which company we're dealing with, how much they want to deal with us. Like last year with Magic, we got an incredibly good deal because they were looking to do more business with other conventions that Corey happens to run.
Okay.
I don't know we'll be able to get that again.
Okay.
Well, the other thing is that they love months in advance because that means they get to pull equipment there. So, in my experience, they're willing to come up with that sort of deal if we deal with them early.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, considering that you know the venue and assuming we're going to be in the same approximate layout that we had last year, I mean, assuming that aside from maybe 1 or 2 rooms flipping, assuming everything with the layout and the needs is approximately the same as we had last year, what do you need to know right now that you don't to be able to get a quote and like get that done?
Basically, if I'm going to have the budget to put up a second screen, because remember the layout we had at MSP? I'd like to do that again here, except with rear projection screens, 1 screen on each side. Aside from that, basically, I'd just like to be able to know what my budget is so that I can say, okay, instead of having speakers on the stage, I'm going to be able to fly line arrays this year, that sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like the main hall room at MSP was big enough for like those 2 screens. I love that setup, but I know that room also went over budget. So it would just be a matter of just the main hall stage we have for Ciderfest is not as big. I don't know if 2 screens is needed and or budget wise realistic. I guess maybe I might suggest, if you agree, getting in touch with them now, just giving them last year's parts list, with whatever modifications that you need to make, just because of whatever shortages we had last year. For example, like I absolutely do not want to run into the situation where we don't have enough microphones. Like that is like sharing microphones with like a guest of honor panel. It is not something that I want to have to deal with.
Oh yeah. That was a problem I had at MSP this year. That's also a problem I had at Midwest due to wireless mics at a venue directly next to an airport with the flight path going directly overhead. That's what caused that issue there. So yeah, this year I'm going to go with 4 wireless, 4 wired in the main hall as a start, and if I need more than that, let me know.
Okay. So yeah, maybe if you agree, take last year's part list, make those modifications that you already know that you're going to make, and just start getting quotes now. And then if we need to make adjustments later for whatever reason, like we can do that. But at least get a head start on it and know what we're looking at. So that's
Okay, here's what I'm going to ask to determine that there, and I'm going to ask anyone watching our stream as staff or whatever, not to spread this around. What is the total number of guests that we're going to have coming?
Like guest of honor.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put it this way. I asked Corey how many handlers that we need, and he said 8 plus 2 floaters. And so, as far as who they're going to be handling for, whether it's show staff or just like running the gamut between voice actors and like production staff and to higher tier community guests, not to say like if we were doing by Jen, for example. I won't get into the details of what that spread is, but 8 is the answer.
Okay, 8 is the answer. In that case, I'll get 10 microphones. That way we have one for each guest, plus an MC, plus 1 spare in case, I don't know, Garnica gets up there and performs or something.
Yeah, and think about a question mic as well and all that. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, if you have the chance to, like I said, get a head start on that bid, just so we can get in there and see what we're looking at. I think that'd be the more head starts we can get on this stuff, the better, in my opinion. I think that's probably about it. Unless anybody has anything else. Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. So just to kind of reconfirm with everybody, are we all on the same page and on the same level of commitment as to not having things be last minute this year? Raise your hand if you agree. And all hands are up. I don't care which.
I'm just giving you a shit.
I'm typing the initial request email right now, so.
There you go. Okay. I appreciate you guys all sharing that commitment with me, because especially being the guy that's probably going to be that is going to be on the team, that's going to be doing the comic book and the website and everything. We're last stop on a lot of this stuff, and so when things get late, the PR department, gets the short end of the stick, and so both as a chair and also as the PR department guy, I appreciate it. So thank you very much. If nobody has anything else, I think we could probably sign off for the night. Please, if you can send me over those bullet points of any responsibilities. Oh, also equipment lists. Also make sure that you're thinking about anything that you need for your departments. Like like with Server Rat, obviously you need radios. There's going to be radios, but also anything else that you need, whether it's office supply type stuff or just anything that you need to have, just so we can make sure everything is planned for and budgeted for. Make sure registration is thinking about that. I know. At MLP MSP, I asked Mike and Nolan to come up with a list of everything that they needed. I don't know that they did that. I hope that they did that, but hopefully they'll have a list ready of everything that they need. But please be on them on that. Directors, I'm going to be, we talked about this already, but department heads, you will be not just leaning on the chairs, but you also be leaning on your directors and receiving direction and needing to give updates to your directors as well. Make sure everybody's more involved and making sure everybody's on time and on task with everything, and so on and so forth. To keep from being a broken record, I think I'll go ahead and end this for the evening, guys. I'd like to, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Viewers, thank you very much for watching. Staff, having the number of staff sign up at the speed that you guys signed up just tells me that you guys are all excited. The ratio-wise, like with new people compared to old people, like for Winnie City, for example, like 60-70% of the staff were people who had not worked at PonyCon before. Between the number of people that are returning from Cider Fest and then the people that got pulled in from Winnie City and MSP, I think we're at like it's like almost like flipped. Like 60-70% are people that have worked other cons with several of us before. So having experienced people here and having them be so excited to come and work this convention with us just gives me a lot of hope for how well this is all going to go. Because when you have people that care and when you have people that give a crap, it just makes everything go that much better. So thank you very much to everybody.
Oh, because we work so terribly together.
Yeah,
I know.
We just argue all the time, man.
Yeah, I never
We
get
should,
anything done.
We should get a show in MTV too. So
Does that mean we have to play music? That'd be beautiful.
Yes.
MTV doesn't play music. That's the joke. But anyway.
Yeah, I got it. All right, cool guys. Thanks very much. Let me know if you need anything. Yeah. One last chance for. What about light green? I don't know what that's referring to. Unless you guys have anything else. Have a good night and thank you very much.
Night, everybody.
I,
Good night.
Good night, everybody.